The 1965 Washington quarter is a coin with a fascinating history, largely due to its transitional role during a significant change in U.S. coinage. In this comprehensive exploration, we will delve into the origins of the Washington quarter, the circumstances surrounding the 1965 minting, the rarity of certain varieties of this coin, its value, and how collectors assess its significance. The history of the 1965 Washington quarter is rich with economic and political implications, making it an essential subject for numismatists and history enthusiasts alike. Historical context of the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Initially intended as a one-year commemorative issue, the design proved so popular that it became the standard design for the quarter, replacing the standing Liberty quarter that had been in use since 1916. The original Washington quarter was composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, a common composition for U.S. coinage at the time. The coin's obverse, featuring a profile of George Washington, was designed by John Flanagan, while the reverse displayed an eagle with outstretched wings. This design remained largely unchanged for decades, although modifications were made over time to improve the coin's strike and longevity. The economic shift of 1965. The year 1965 marked a significant turning point in the history of U.S. coinage. Following World War II, the demand for silver surged due to both industrial use and the growing popularity of silver coinage among collectors. The U.S. government began facing a shortage of silver, and by the early 1960s, the price of silver had risen dramatically. As a result, the intrinsic value of silver coins, including the Washington quarter, began to exceed their face value, leading to widespread hoarding and a depletion of circulating coinage. In response to this silver crisis, the U.S. government took drastic action. Under the Coinage Act of 1965, the composition of U.S. coins was altered to eliminate silver content from circulating dimes and quarters. Starting with the 1965 Washington quarter, the coin was struck from a copper-nickel-clad composition, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. This change allowed the government to continue minting coins without the need for increasingly scarce silver, while also reducing the incentive for hoarding. The transition in the 1965 Washington quarter. Because of the transition from silver to clad coinage, 1965 quarters were not struck with any mint marks, meaning no coins were specifically designated as being minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. This lack of mint marks applied to quarters minted between 1965 and 1967, after which mint marks were reintroduced in 1968. The production of 1965 quarters spanned several years as the U.S. Mint worked to phase out the use of silver in circulating coins and transition to the copper-nickel-clad composition. To prevent confusion and potential hoarding during this transitional period, the U.S. Mint also decided to delay the release of coins dated 1965 until enough new copper-nickel coins could be produced. The 1965 Washington quarter, therefore, represents a significant moment in U.S. numismatic history, as it symbolizes the end of an era of silver coinage and the beginning of a new period of modern, base metal coinage. Rare varieties and errors of the 1965 Washington quarter. While the 1965 Washington quarter is generally not considered a rare coin due to its high mintage, certain varieties and errors from this year are highly sought after by collectors. These rare varieties can significantly increase the value of a 1965 quarter, making them much more valuable than their face value. 1965 silver quarter. Perhaps the most famous and sought-after variety of the 1965 Washington quarter is the 1965 silver quarter. Despite the official change to copper-nickel-clad coinage in 1965, a small number of quarters were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchets from 1964. These silver 1965 quarters are incredibly rare and valuable, as they represent an error in the minting process during a critical transitional period. To identify a 1965 silver quarter, collectors need to carefully examine the coin's composition. The easiest way to determine whether a quarter is made of silver or copper-nickel clad is to check the coin's edge. Silver quarters will have a solid silver-colored edge, while copper-nickel clad quarters will have a visible copper core along the edge. Additionally, a silver 1965 quarter will weigh approximately 6.25 grams, while a copper-nickel clad quarter will weigh around 5.67 grams. Silver 1965 quarters are extremely rare, with only a few confirmed examples known to exist. As a result, these coins can fetch prices ranging from several thousand to tens of thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and provenance. Double die errors. Another rare variety of the 1965 Washington quarter is the double die error. Double die errors occur when a coin's design is accidentally struck twice, resulting in a noticeable doubling of the design elements. On a 1965 Washington quarter, this doubling is most often seen on the obverse, particularly in the lettering of Liberty or the date. Double die errors are highly prized by collectors due to their rarity and visual appeal. Depending on the severity and location of the doubling, a 1965 double die quarter can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Off-center strikes. Off-center strikes are another type of minting error that can occur during the coin production process. An off-center strike happens when the coin blank, planchet, is not properly aligned with the coin press, causing the design to be struck off-center. The resulting coin will have part of the design missing and a blank area where the planchet was not struck. Off-center 1965 Washington quarters are rare and can vary significantly in value depending on the degree of the off-center strike. Coins with a more dramatic off-center strike tend to be more valuable, with some examples selling for hundreds of dollars or more. Value of the 1965 Washington quarter. The value of a 1965 Washington quarter depends largely on its condition and whether it exhibits any of the rare varieties or errors mentioned above. Here is a breakdown of the value ranges for different types of 1965 quarters. Standard 1965 copper-nickel clad quarter. The majority of 1965 Washington quarters are made from copper-nickel clad and are not considered rare. In circulated condition, these coins are typically worth only their face value of 25 cents. However, uncirculated examples or those in particularly high grades can be worth slightly more, with values ranging from $1 to $10 depending on the coin's grade. 1965 silver quarter. As mentioned earlier, 1965 silver quarters are extremely rare and valuable. The exact value of a 1965 silver quarter depends on its condition, but prices generally start at several $1,000s. In high-grade condition, these coins can sell for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. For example, one of the few known 1965 silver quarters sold at auction for $7,050 in 2014. Since then, prices have only increased as collectors continue to seek out these rare transitional errors. Double die errors. The value of a 1965 double die Washington quarter depends on the severity and location of the doubling, as well as the coin's overall condition. Prices for double die error quarters typically range from $100 to $1,000, with particularly strong examples fetching even higher prices. Off-center strikes. The value of a 1965 Washington quarter with an off-center strike varies depending on the degree of the error. Coins with a minor off-center strike may sell for $50 to $100, while those with a more dramatic off-center strike can be worth several $100s or more. Grading and condition. As with all coins, the condition of a 1965 Washington quarter plays a significant role in determining its value. Coin grading is a standardized system used by numismatists to assess the condition of a coin, with higher grades indicating better preservation and fewer signs of wear. The most widely used coin grading scale is the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1, poor, to 70, mint state. Here's a brief overview of the different grades and what they mean for a 1965 Washington quarter. Good, G4 to G6. In this grade, the coin shows significant wear, with most of the details worn flat. The coin may have scratches, dings, and other signs of heavy circulation. A 1965 quarter in good condition is typically worth only its face value. Very fine, VF 20 to VF 35 coins in very fine condition show moderate wear, with most of the details still visible but slightly worn. The coin may have some luster remaining, but it will not be as shiny as an uncirculated coin. A 1965 quarter in very fine condition may be worth a few dollars. Extremely fine, EF 40 to EF 45 coins in extremely fine condition show only light wear, with most of the details still sharp and clear. The coin will have a fair amount of luster remaining and may be worth more than face value, depending on the market. About uncirculated, -50 Australian dollars to -58 Australian dollars. In about uncirculated condition, the coin shows only minor signs of wear, usually on the highest points of the design. The coin will retain much of its original luster and may be worth $1 to $10.